Hello. Welcome everyone to number 18, the second season of the Tensegrity Party, organized all volunteer effort by the Stephen M. Levin Tensegrity Archive. Today we have special guest speakers, Fernando Fraternali and Ada Amendola, coming to us from Salerno in Italy. And today we have our guest host, Christian Castro Arenas. Christian, you're coming in from BA?
Yes, I'm here in BA in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I am from Colombia, but I am here now.
And let me just say before I do anything else that there's a very exciting announcement this week from Christian and our own Mariana Barreto and Fernando Tejero. Guys, do you want to tell us the big secret? We'll put the link in the chat to the webpage. Christian, you can tell us.
Oh, please, Mariana, do the honors.
Well, we finally put together the first big Biotensegrity interest group in Spanish. So we are officially formed. We have a website, and we're going to have our first meeting in July the 3rd. So I'm going to put the link here so you can check that. But we're very happy.
All right. So getting back to our, go ahead, Steve.
I just said congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
So my name is Susan Lowell de Solorzano. I'm coming to you from the United States colony of Washington, D.C.
And I'm Graham Scarr from Nottingham in the UK.
And I'm Chris Morita Clancy, coming to you from the Coast Salish territory in just outside of Vancouver, Canada. And it's our intention here at the Biotensegrity Tea Party and to promote and share the Biotensegrity concept with as many people as possible and to include you all in that mission. And this is, of course, the Biotensegrity Tea Party and the Stephen M. Levin Biotensegrity Archive, which the Tea Party is a volunteer production of the archive. The archive is a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to educate, raise public awareness, and build community in the field of biotensegrity, and to foster and forward discovery, research, and understanding in the fields of science, health, and medicine. So I think we're going to go on to the sponsors now, are we?
Yes, great. Thanks, Graham.
Okay. Handspring Publishing in East Lothian, Scotland, who have a wide range of authors and books available for movement and manual therapy professionals, and also produce a free newsletter which provides details of the webinar series with Elizabeth Larkham. Embodied by Tensegrity with Chris Morita Clancy and Gwen Cornish in Vancouver, British Columbia, who provide an excellent resource for those of you looking to learn more about Biotensegrity. And they have just introduced a new membership plan focused on learning the basics and experiencing them in an embodied way. There's an early bird special until June 21st. TheFasciaHub.com as an educational community providing fascial and Biotensegrity focused events. And they'll be running a course with Robert Schleip entitled The Fascial Perspective for Working with Scars and Adhesions on July 24th and 25th. And with the imminent launch of their new website, there'll be a special offer for everyone. So make sure you're signed up to their mailing list. Then have the Second World Fascia Congress, who will be running a 3-day online event from Brazil on August 12th to 15th. Integrated Biotensegrity with Lisa Babiak in Alberta, Canada, who runs regular courses. Matrix Repatterning with George Roth, who also run regular courses. Artifact Pro in Madrid, Spain, produce anatomically inspired tensegrity models for purchase, as well as pre-tensed in Holland, have a wide range of different tensegrities for sale. And finally, but definitely not least, Bruce Hamilton, who's a long-established tensegrity model maker. All the details of these can be found in the chat. Back to you, Susan.
Great. Thanks, Graham. And I know that Chris's Embodied Biotensegrity, Chris and Gwen's Embodied Biotensegrity is going to, as an early bird special for the Biotensegrity Trailblazers group, which I highly recommend if you're really interested in diving deep here in the subject. Prices will go up after the 21st of June. So I'm going to ask Fernando to open us up with a toast.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for inviting me to this very nice community. And I hope I can join your meetings in the future. It will be very nice for meeting you on a regular basis and joining your community for different purposes. And it was a very special pleasure to be invited to this webinar. And I will introduce the speech by my colleague, Ada Amendola. I am professor of, actually I'm professor of structural engineering at the University of Salerno, Italy, but my interests of research are pretty transverse and are mainly for large part focused on Tensegrity materials, Tensegrity structures, as we will see during this meeting. And Professor Amendola is a young professor who joined our department, and she also has been working in collaboration with different universities through the world, in the United States, in Europe, with the University of California, few universities in California, or mainly Caltech and University of California, San Diego, with the University of Sheffield in the UK for the additive manufacturing of Tensegrity systems. And our research is motivated by nature, where Tensegrity systems are ubiquitous and appear in every cell, whether in the microstructure of the spider silk, as we will see today, or in the arrangement of bones and tendons to control locomotion. We make use of self-similarity concepts, bio-inspired design, and the highly nonlinear response of Tensegrity building blocks to develop groundbreaking metamaterials for applications in bioengineering and also in robotics, impact protection, and sound focusing, as we will see shortly today. So this is an introduction to our research activities, and I'm very happy to introduce the speech, the talk by Ada Amendola, who will deliver a presentation about the Tensegrity modeling of the spider silk. This is a recent activity of our group. We have conducted in collaboration with a research group in the University of Sheffield, again, and probably you may know Chris Holland, who is one of the main expert of spiders and the spider silk and the modeling of the spider silk. And they invited us to join their group to introduce a Tensegrity modeling of the spider silk. And so we will hear from Ada about this activity. And after Ada, I will present some complementary activities of our group, always dealing with Tensegrity systems, Tensegrity concepts. And finally, we'll also maybe shortly introduce the activities of a company that we have incorporated in the University of Salerno, who also employs Tensegrity concepts in different areas of engineering and technology. So if you agree, yeah, please.
Before Ada shares her screen and we start that, we're going to actually two things. Now that you've heard how wonderful their lab is and all the exciting things, if you're watching this live on YouTube or soon after today's presentation, please know that there is, can you tell us, an opening in your lab, right?
Yeah, there is also an opening in my lab. We have a call for PhD students for a PhD project lasting 3 years and dealing with the use of Tensegrity concepts in different areas of bioengineering and civil engineering. So we invite you to advertise this call among potentially interested students. And so I'm happy to give more information to everybody who can be interested.
Yes, and we have the links in our newsletter, and it includes a scholarship.
Yes,
So,
yes. Scholarship. There's a scholarship, and also an experience with the Salerno, which is a beautiful area and beautiful region and a beautiful town. Right.
So, Fernando, I want you to. We're going to lift our glasses, maybe our cups, and can
Yes.
you give us an Italian or a Tensegrity or an engineering toast?
Okay, so we see chin chin, or
Chin, salud.
All right, chin chin.
Like chin is like when the noise of
Yeah.
two glasses.
They do the same in Ecuador. Chin chin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a little cap from the Amalfi Coast. This is a little
Oh,
with the fishes.
wow.
Fishes.
Is that traditional for espresso?
Yeah, no, we use for espresso, yes. But this can be also for liquor, for spirits, yes, for anything.
For grappa.
I have also I have also the one with California, obviously. The California cap, obviously, I have Los Angeles and all the caps. I love California. I love the United States.
So maybe for this time of day we have grappa, huh?
Yeah, grappa. We have limoncello. Yes.
So,
Steve, you met Fernando on the Amalfi Coast a few years ago, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
At
Now
the
I
beginning of
remember you. Yes, I remember
in
you. Actually, you were lost on the
1990
Amalfi Coast. I rescued you on the Amalfi Coast. You were somewhere lost in the Amalfi Coast, if I remember.
Right. I remember, and I finally got to the hotel. Yes, thank you.
Yes. I remember.
That was 4 years ago, I think.
Yes.
2016.
Next year we will have another event in the same place.
Well, it was a lovely place. It's worth just to go for the trip.
Yeah, we will advertise this event at the end of the meeting.
Okay, great.
I was just going to say, so before we go on to Ada's presentation, Susan, do you want to invite people to put their questions in YouTube or our Zoom chat? And I will invite people to start turning off their cameras so that the YouTube audience has a better view.
Yes, and so we'll be keeping track of your questions during the presentation, and over to you, Fernando and Ada.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I will share the screen.
Yeah, Ada, please go ahead with this speech.
Okay. Okay. Thank you again for inviting us to this exciting meeting of the Biotensegrity Tea Party and giving us the opportunity to talk about tensegrity modeling of spider dragline fibers. And the work I will present has been carried out in collaboration with Professor Fernando Fraternali of the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Salerno, so my same department, and also a research group associated with the Department of Material Science and Engineering of the University of Sheffield, as Professor Fraternali told you before. And they collaborated with us for what concerns the experimental part. And this is the outline of the talk. So we start introducing the examined topic and the motivation that are behind the present research. And next I will focus on the experimental characterization of the dragline silk of Nephila genus, which characterizes spiders well known for the impressive webs that they weave, and then I will continue by introducing a tensegrity modeling of the dragline silk fiber and its ability to predict the tensile response and also the fracture and toughness properties of this fiber. And then I will end with a discussion about the use of tensegrity architectures for the optimal design of next generation biomimetic fibers and some concluding remarks. It is generally accepted that the remarkable mechanical performance of spider dragline originates from a hierarchical organization of proteins into crystalline beta sheets embedded in a disordered amorphous matrix. And at the mesoscale, it has been shown that silk assembles into nanofibers with diameters ranging from 30 or also more than 100 nanometers. And that a fiber has structurally and functionally distinct regions, a load-bearing core surrounded by protective lipid, glycol, or skin layers. So from a biomimetic perspective, the mechanical properties of spider silk is often held as a gold standard for industrial fiber production. Available review studies report values of spider dragline silk tensile strength and toughness that range in the intervals 1.1, 1.8 gigapascals and toughness 100 to 400 megajoule per cubic meter respectively. And it is worth remarking that the spider dragline silk fibers exhibit an unusual combination of high tensile strength and high extensibility. On the contrary, if you think about most man-made fibers that exhibit either high tensile strength and high stiffness, or low strength and low and high extensibility. So the most available mechanical models of silk adopt either particle type models and coarse graining approaches or finite element models. The tensegrity paradigm leads to an alternative type of modeling, which describes a spider fiber as a 3D continuum composed of 1D rods carrying tensile and compressive forces that are actually tendons and struts. Skelton and Nagase have first observed that the tensegrity model of a spider silk fiber that accounts for the transfer stiffening effect played by these crystalline granules leads to an increase of the overall tensile stiffness as compared to a tendon-only model. So what we did in the present model is to introduce for the first time this graded tensegrity modeling of the spider dragline fiber informed by the results of class-matching microstructure identification tests. So the proposed model describes the generic fibril, silk fibril, as a chain of tensegrity units or granules composed of axial and oblique tendons and transverse struts. The size of the tensegrity granule varies along the radial coordinate to match the physical nanostructure of the fiber. Our proposed tensegrity model replicates Poisson's effect under longitudinal stretching due to volume conservation and also captures the enhanced toughness of the material through regional dependent deformation modes of the fibrils and scale effects of the fibrils' ductility. A study conducted at the University of Sheffield on plasma etched test and SEM imaging of silk fibers have revealed important links between ordered nanostructures and mechanical properties. If you can see in these panels, panel A, B, and C, you can see these SEM micrographs of the lateral surface of the plasma etched fiber at different etching times and the current diameter of the fiber. You can read there. While in these other panels, D, E, F, you can see the particle analysis of the nanostructures observed in the etched fiber. So one recognizes that the white regions in the first images, the one of the top, responds to granules consisting of ordered microcrystalline domains. And these crystalline domain structures are seen to align in chains to form these nanofibrils. For quantitative image analysis, the original images are converted into a binary images. So in this case, the black regions represent the granules of the microcrystalline domains. So according to the studies of the multilayer organization of the spider drag line Nephila clavips, the image shown in figure A belongs to the outer core region of the fiber, with the layer visible after 1.5 minutes of treatment is the one that we will call layer 1. Okay, and then you see layer 2 and layer 3. While in this table, you can just see the maximum correlation repeat distance between the microcrystalline granules A and the average diameter B monotonically increase with treatment time. You can see from here. This is the maximum correlation repeat distance A. And this is the average granule diameter that increases by passing from layer 1 to 3, so by increasing the treatment time. So here is more clear the fibril distribution, that we can see in terms of Tensegrity units. And in particular, here you can see the cross-section of the fiber that is composed of a packing of 1,470 fibrils of type 1 in the outer core, a packaging of 446 fibrils on type 2, and the inner core that is formed by 325 fibrils type 3. So all such packaging, as you can see, are polar symmetric. The microstructure parameter A defines the longitudinal spacing of the Tensegrity unit in the generic fibril. Our mechanical model, the spider dragline silk fiber, combines an hierarchical organization of the material with Tensegrity architectures, and we model the composite structure forming the core of the fiber as a collection of fibrils running parallel to the fiber axis, which are described as chains of Tensegrity units, as is shown in panel A here. Okay, so given also the outer layers contribute minimally to the overall mechanical response of the spider silk, we decided to ignore the contribution of that ones. The generic Tensegrity unit is formed by longitudinal and diagonal tensile elements, hereafter referred to as tendons or strings, that are the ones marked in red, and by transverse compressive straps or bars marked in blue. The tendons corresponds to composite rods formed by amorphous chains that are attached to crystalline domains at their extremities, while the struts reproduce the compressive stiffening effect that is played by the beta sheet-plated crystals in the circumferential direction that we have seen before. So the stress-strain response of the struts is characterized by the elastic phase, the one that Professor was talking about at the beginning, an elastic phase with Young modulus equal to the one of the beta sheets, since these members are supposed to be fully crystalline, and initial elastic response extends up to a buckling event occurring when the local engineering strain reaches a critical value. The post-buckling phase features an initial soft branch and then a hard branch. When I say hard branch, I'm saying that the stiffening is increasing again. And this hard branch describes the densification that is in panel B okay, sorry, describes the densification of the material under large axial strains. Okay, a peculiar phenomenon that affects the tensile response of dragline silk fibers is the yielding effect produced by the breaking of the weak hydrogen bonds forming the matrix of the fiber under stretching. And so to explain this phenomena, the current model makes use of the stress-strain response of the tendons that is illustrated red. Okay, so we characterize the initial pre-yielding response of such members, which are formed by a blend of crystalline and nanocrystalline domains, through the low mixtures of the Young modulus. I'm not going to tell you about details of these. And then the yielding of the tendons is assumed to occur when the local engineering strain reaches a threshold value. So the incremental response in the post-yielding regime up to tensile failure, so I'm talking about this, is described by reduced tangent elastic modulus. And then the failure strain of the fibrils obviously may change from fibril to fibril. Hereafter, we make use of the material properties that are listed in these two tables. So in this slide, I want just to show a side view of Nephila narrata silk dragline fiber etched at different times with a superimposed sketch of the adopted Tensegrity model. While in the bottom panel, you can see the simulation of the deformation process of a Tensegrity unit. Okay, this is the first step, second, and the third one. And in this deformation process, you can see that the fiber is subject to a tension test, and it is seen that the Tensegrity model captures the Poisson effect associated with the nearly uncompressible response of the fiber, which is documented in literature. This is the Poisson effect. I highlighted with this with this line. In this current slide, I think I can go a bit faster. It's just, you can see just the engineering and true stress strain curves predicted by the Tensegrity model in comparison with the experimental results that are the one, the black dashed line are the experimental results. And then you can see that our model can catch the experimental results in a good way. And the current slide examines the fracture response of our Tensegrity model. And we observe that this model is able to predict a progressive breakage of the microfibrils, starting within the inner core of the fiber, you can see here, and then going to the other pieces. Okay, so the first fibril to break being the central one under an engineering strain equal to 0.22, and the fracture region can extend to the region bounded by the circle with the radius equal to 600 nanometers. So this assumption that we did of graded distribution of the diameters and also the failure strains of the fibrils leads us to predict the ductile density response of the fiber and explain its enhanced toughness. So this is due to the progressive deflection of the crack front along the interfaces separating fibrils with different breaking strains. So this is what I wanted to highlight, that with this model we were able to predict also the fracture of the fibril. Researchers have been trying to recreate the properties of spider silk through artificial spinning for several decades now, with mixed success. And the general consensus across the field is that the excellent properties of many artificial silk fibers are mainly derived from a stretch-induced orientation of the fibrils, the high crystalline fraction of the material, and effective fibril linking. So the results of the present study highlight that it will be convenient to refine the strategy proposed in a recent science paper with the aim to introducing a graded crystalline nanostructure of the fibrils. That is actually what we try to do in our work. And so such a graded microstructure leads to an ununiform distribution of the fibrils break strains, which is in turn responsible for the enhancement of the material toughness and other mechanical properties, as we have already discussed. So the present study, I want just to go to the conclusion to say that to highlight the main results of our study. And the present study has demonstrated that tensegrity modeling of the spider dragline silk is able to capture the experimentally observed tensile stress-strain response of the silk fiber, also the Poisson effect related to the radial contraction of the cross-section, and the enhanced fracture toughness of the material. There will be, for sure, there are future direction of the present work that can be, for example, aimed at improving the proposed model of silk fibers, which represents just a first step toward the comprehensive hierarchical model of the spider dragline silk based on tensegrity concepts. And an additional line of future research will deal with a discrete continuum approach aimed at modeling the mechanical response of silk composites. A continuum medium made of a network of spider fibers or fibrils embedded in a matrix material will be modeled via, for example, an non-homogenization approach that makes use of fiber reinforced hyperelastic models. Then I will talk about our next the webinar, the conference that we are organizing. For now, I think I can end with this. And if you have any question, I will be happy to answer to you.
Thank you, Ada. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Ada.
Fernando, you're going to jump in now, right?
Yes, okay. So I will share my screen by picking sharing audio. So,
okay. So now Professor Fraternali is talking about multi-scale innovative lattice metamaterials with Tensegrity architecture, and he will show also many samples and complementary activities that we lead in our lab.
okay, thank you, Ada. And so I hope that everybody can see my presentation. If not, please interrupt me. And this second part of our presentation will illustrate some complementary activities with respect to the topic covered by Ada in the field of the multi-scale innovative lattice metamaterials with Tensegrity architecture. So we are, over recent years, we are using Tensegrity concepts and the Tensegrity architectures to develop new materials with special properties that are also referred to as metamaterials, because are material with properties not found in ordinary materials. I will illustrate some of the main lines of research in our group and the motivations of this general research. This project is aimed at developing the fundamental understanding of the dynamics of systems formed by Tensegrity lattices. And so we want to understand how stress waves travels through lattices with Tensegrity architecture. And we want to use such a knowledge for the creation of new materials and devices. This is a general goal. We employ lattices with Tensegrity architecture, and we employ the nonlinear mechanical response of the pre-stress tunability of such systems to create tunable materials. These are some of the architectures we employ with different Tensegrity systems in 1D, in 2D, and 3D. And our project is motivated by nature, as I anticipated, where Tensegrity concepts are ubiquitous. And for example, they can be found in the arrangements of bones and tendons, and also in the microstructure of the spider silk, as Ada has shown. Mainly, the main outcome of the research presented by Ada is that is illustrated in this insert. Is that the spider silk is formed by an amorphous structure, an amorphous collection of chains, which embed some crystalline structures. So our modeling, as well as an initial model by Professor Skelton and co-workers, assumes that under stretching these crystalline domains play a stiffening effect, which enhances the longitudinal stiffness of the fiber due to the presence of this transverse stiffening effect due to the crystalline domain. So there is an interplay between tension and compression, which is stereotypical, which is typical of Tensegrity systems. So what do we use these Tensegrity metamaterials for? We have a first line of research to tune that studies how it's possible to tune the response of these systems that we investigate through external and internal pre-stress. Then we have a line bandgap that investigates how it's possible to use Tensegrity materials as filters of mechanical waves. And we have two final lines, focus and impact, I will refer to towards the end, which investigate the use of Tensegrity metamaterials for impact protection and for sound focusing, which is related to biomedical potential application of Tensegrity systems. The two line it focuses on the possibility to tune the mechanical properties of Tensegrity systems, mainly through geometry, but mainly through internal and external pre-stress. As you know, because you work in this area, the stiffness of Tensegrity system, we are seeing here the force displacement response of Tensegrity prisms subject to longitudinal compressive loading. The stiffness, the properties of Tensegrity structures depends on the pre-stress, because if typically a Tensegrity system in the reference configuration may be also with zero stiffness, maybe, or with minimal stiffness, because it consists of an unstable structure that has been stabilized through the insertion of pre-stretched cables. So the initial stiffness may be very low, but then the stiffness can increase dramatically, as in the second insert and second movie shows, or maybe can increase and then decrease depending also on the geometry of the system. So we can have an alternation of stiffening and softening behaviors. that are tuned by internal and external process, because we can also pre-stress globally the system, or you can pre-stress the strings within by external pre-stress. I mean the pre-stress of a chain of Tensegrity units through external loading, while by internal pre-stress, the actual pre-stress of the cables that form the generic unit. So we want to develop systems that match arbitrary user-defined linear constitutive laws, and we also want to focus on the fabrication of systems with such properties, also on a micro scale. We have developed a projection microstereolithography system, which employs swelling materials that are active materials that can be used to induce pre-stress in the system through additive through 3D printing. So this is, I will show also later some samples that have been 3D printed at the micro scale with the pre-stress, with initial pre-stress. And yeah, this tune line wants to exploit this tunability of Tensegrity units to develop materials with user-defined properties. The band gap line uses this peculiar response of Tensegrity units, of chains of Tensegrity prisms, for example, or also other units, to manufacture samples that are materials that can filter acoustic waves. So these chains are able to let some waves to pass and some other waves with this other excitation frequencies to not pass, to be stopped, to be not able to pass through the chain. So this band gap behavior can be tuned also by, so the frequency of the signals that propagate or not propagate through the chain of units is tunable to the pre-stress of the system. And we can also apply this band gap behavior on a 3D scale. Yeah, this is, for example, this is a wave. This is the behavior of a chain of Tensegrity units, which is excited. You can see there is an excitation, harmonic excitation that applied at one end, which basically do not propagate through the system because is completely damped out because of the filtering capability of the chain. Another important area of research that is related to the biological application of bioengineering application of Tensegrity system is developed by the focus and the impact lines of this our research. So we want to design Tensegrity acoustic lenses, which are formed by arrays of Tensegrity beams or Tensegrity columns, which produce, as we will see, so those chains, those beams that form this array of Tensegrity systems named acoustic lens. Those units have a nonlinear response due to this behavior that you see, you will find illustrated in this movie. So due to the stiffening effect, due to the penetration of adjacent cells during the loading, the compression loading of the system. So these chains these beams support the propagation of compact mechanical waves that will impact an host medium and will produce waves that will focus at the given focal point in an adjacent medium, which can be an engineering material, also a biological system. And this focusing of the mechanical waves can be used for to create a sound bullet to destroy material defects or tumor masses in a biological system. And regarding the micro scale, such applications of the applications that I have been briefly describing require that for practical uses the manufacturing of units, Tensegrity units at the micro scale with a scale of 1 millimeter, for example, each single unit, because we need a sufficiently large number of units in a sufficiently small region of space. So for matching this goal, we have developed a 3D printing system that is able to work a CAD model of a Tensegrity prism at a very small scale, and so we were able to build Tensegrity prisms at the millimeter scale. And actually, I will show you one now. I think
are you going to show the live one now, or
okay, maybe I can do that later. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, because we'll want to spotlight you because it's the smallest Tensegrity in the world.
Yes, I will see. I will show you this red prism for real. And the final part, if you give me the chance of presenting the activities of a company that we have incorporated, is an academic spin-off at the University of Salerno for developing industrial applications of those research concepts. So these applications are briefly described in this second part of my presentation. And so this firm, which is named NewMat, New Materials and Techniques for Sustainable Engineering, develops, designs and manufactures mechanical metamaterials, so that the systems that I have described briefly for application in sound focusing or other engineering uses. Sustainable and also sustainable structures for interiors designs, object and houseware, as lamps and other objects, and also creative jewels, as we will briefly see. And finally, we develop next generation sensors and actuators for non-structural, non-restrictive structural health monitoring and for medical diagnosis, as I anticipated. Those are the main fields of activities of our lab, our group, that is in particular of this company, NewMat. We have a recycling fabrication lab. We recycle materials, plastic materials, and also plastic bottles, post-consumer plastic bottles, and also wasted fish nets made of nylon, and waste fishing nets, and then we grind these materials and we produce flakes that are through a grinder that the next are used by an extruder to produce filaments that are used as a feedstock of 3D printers. So this filament is produced as a feedstock of a 3D printer. Is produced directly from the recycled materials. And what we design structures for interiors design, mechanical metamaterials, also creative jewels and fashion accessories. This is our last basically we created this project also especially for this event. So this is a T1 lamp project because it's a lamp that can be composed by one single USB powered LED stick inserted into a network of cables and hanged to the ceiling. And we can play with this architecture, creating more complex assemblies of LED sticks and cables. And this is the original T3 lamp project, which is a lamp made of 3 sticks. I have also a movie here. 1 second. Yeah, this shows our studio, and you can see this lamp. This is a lamp you can fabricate. It originates from a design patent made with Bob Skelton, and you can. So this is there is a little slightly oblique, but this is a LED stick that is inserted in this lamp structure. We have also created a very complex D-Fiore lamp named D-Fiore, which is a lamp that composed of Tensegrity structures, which has petals that dynamically open and close thanks to the deformation of nickel titanium sheet memory wires. And so these are different views of this lamp. I will also show you a movie. So it's a Tensegrity structure because the deformation of these wires that are inserted within the petals of this 3D printed lamp activate and open and close the eyes of this lamp. I hope you can see.
Newmat progetta e fabbrica mediante stampa 3D elementi di arredo e decorazioni di natura varia con architettura Tensegrity. Coniughiamo creatività e meccanica delle strutture per progettare e fabbricare strutture d'arredo leggere ed eleganti che siano anche pieghevoli e trasportabili.
Le letture Tensegrity sono frequentemente rinvenibili in natura, essendo osservabili ad esempio in ogni cellula, nella microstruttura della tela del ragno e nel sistema formato dalle ossa e dai tendini. Il progetto di design più recente di Newmat riguarda una lampada dinamica a forma di fiore, denominata D-Fiore. È composta da una struttura Tensegrity a petali che si aprono e si chiudono grazie alla deformazione di fili a memoria di forma in lega a nickel titanio.
Il meccanismo di apertura e chiusura dei petali della lampada è comandato dalla sanzione e dallo spegnimento della lampada.
Newmat progetta e realizza mediante stampa 3D accessori di moda e gioielli creativi che combinino forme bioinspired con una progettazione matematica ottimizzata. Creiamo sculture indossabili in materiali naturali riciclati, disegnando geometrie personalizzabili su richiesta.
Okay, so we can stop this. And yes, another project that we have created is a bistable lamp. So it's a lamp that has 2 stable configurations that you can compress to, and when it's compressed, it switches from one stable configuration to another, and also turn on the light. Turn on the light. Yes, the tube, the light tubes. We have also created a box lamp and a tube lamp, lamps that can be carried over. And so finally, we have other projects related to metamaterials. They're based on the pentamode systems, which can be also used as a seismic isolator, so devices to damp seismic waves and to isolate structures from the ground motion. And here is the movie about the use of this system as a seismic isolator. And finally, I will not show you the promo, because you can see we have already seen some part of this promo of our company through the section dedicated to the diffuser lamp. You can see you can visit our website, and you can see this promo video on the main and the homepage of our website. So this ends my presentation with this sentence by Galileo Galilei, and all truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them. So we do our best to discover some concepts useful for engineering and biomedical purposes through Tensegrity concepts. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
And that's wonderful. Christian's going to jump in to do some discussion with you, but also if I can spotlight you for everyone, Fernando, you can show us the
yeah, I cannot see my video, okay, but I think that you will.
Hold on a second.
Yes, okay. No?
Or did you want to show the video first?
No, it's okay. Okay, now, yeah. So this is first.
Susan, let me just, oh, you have spotlighted, never mind, sorry.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is just a toy model of a Tensegrity structure that we built, so with a tensioner at the end, so we can this is a 3D printed structure that we can tension or release through this tensioner. This is just a 3D printed. It's made of spectra fibers and 3D printed titanium alloy structure of which has been 3D printed.
Wait. Can you hold it very still, right in the middle, a little higher? Yeah, a little higher, and then now adjust it for us.
Yeah. So I release, and so I tension the strings, and then I give stiffness to the system. So basically, the stiffness is basically the stiffness of the structure is basically tuned by the pre-stress.
Can we see the bottom? Do you have 3 different adjustment pegs?
Mm-hmm.
I can put also horizontal, maybe.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah. So each string has its own.
No, it's one unique tensioner, because this can be controlled through one single cable. So you control the system through a single cable.
Great.
The cloud it depends on the pre-stress stress depends on the tension on one single cable.
Thank you.
Can you put some external stress onto the system
by
different tensions so that we can see the different way it responds depending on the internal pre-stress?
This is more related to through the way you compress the system. So the stiffness to compression is different if you have the strings go slack or a slack or a tension. So this is the general purpose was to show the tunability of the system to the propagation of compressive waves through pre-stress, because our goal was to miniaturize these structures and to use them as actuators for generating compact waves in a host body that can be a biological system. And indeed, we created a very, very miniaturized system. This is the smallest.
All right, a little higher, a little higher, a little higher, because we have to get it just right. Now tilt it just a little bit.
Probably
Yeah,
this
there
is
we go.
less clear.
Yeah. Can you see it, folks? Look at that.
It's 2 millimeter high, tall. This is just 2 millimeters tall, because we are moving to manufacturing columns of those prisms and to be used as actuators for our sound focusing project.
And that's on a 3D printer.
Yeah, this is on a 3D printer. Yes, made of. This is a projector working with the projection microstereolithography. It uses an optical 3D printer. So it uses light. You have a polymer which can be photopolymerized through the light. You have a so basically by sending to a projector images on this resin, you produce the object through slices through an optical procedure that is named the projection microstereolithography.
And Fernando, one question about this model, for example.
Hey, Christian, is your camera on?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Here. Fernando, in this model, for example, is the same material in the struts and in the tensors, right? How do you have the difference between one or another?
So it depends on the percentage of swelling materials that you can use. Those are polymers that you can use different polymers for the struts and the strings, so that they will swell in a different way when they dry. So you produce this object, then you let it dry. You cure let it dry, and due to the different percentage of swelling of polymers in the struts and the strings, you can produce a different swelling of those members, and this different swelling will create internal pre-stress. Okay. But it's very, very sophisticated object. This is a research that just started at this scale. There is nothing. We are the only one who are doing this. So this is an initial attempt. Obviously, at a larger scale, you will find several other applications, but we are trying to miniaturize this fabrication, the fabrication of Tensegrity structure. And obviously, I have also other system. This is a Tensegrity Theta prism. So it is also a different version of a Tensegrity prism made of two prisms placed one over the other. And this is a Tensegrity Theta prism that we call Tensegrity Theta, because it is like the theta letter of the Greek alphabet. So, you know, the theta letter has an external loop, an internal, so the external circle of the letter capture the external cables forming the structure. And then there is an internal set of cables, and which is mimics the dash, which appears in the theta letter in the middle of the theta letter. So this is a Tensegrity Theta prism, and then we have other. Also, this is a bistable prism that has to put on the table, but it's difficult to show. Yeah. So as two stable, yeah, this goes out, but it's a bit. So it's a bistable structure that can be used also for engineering purposes, or we have used it for a lamp, as a lamp. Okay, and then we have also this pentamode system, which is this is the pentamode structure is is called also, is named also solid metal fluid, because this system can be used to have only one stiff mode. One stiff mode is the compression mode. It can be designed to be weak and shear like a fluid. So this is another project we are working on, and we are. This is not originally not Tensegrity, but we are making it Tensegrity through the addition of wires in to tune the properties of this system. So basically, this is most of what we do, but we do also other things. We also use Tensegrity for designing facades, solar facades, active solar facades of energy efficient buildings. We have other projects, and we are also looking at the design of Tensegrity bike lane, Tensegrity bike lane on the Amalfi Coast, and maybe some roofs from some shading structures in Salerno through Tensegrity architecture. So we have many areas of research or of engineering applications based on the Tensegrity concept. My experience with the Tensegrity systems originates from a collaboration with Bob Skelton. I met Bob Skelton once in San Diego, and then I was fascinated by this great knowledge and of Tensegrity systems, and he was my mentor in this area. And since now more about 10 years, I have been researching on the use of Tensegrity concepts in several areas of research.
Yes. I think this is a very interesting and very important moment for all of us who study and research about Tensegrity in the artificial world and biotensegrity in the natural world, because through research like your research, we can see the connection, the evidence of connection between the Tensegrity in the artificial and the biotensegrity. So, and two, because you have been experimenting different kind of technologies to build and to analyze the behavior of these different configurations. I have a question here, really is from Chris. And I have say, it says, ADA's images showed a positive Poisson's ratio, whereas my Tensegrity model has a negative Poisson's ratio. Also, we saw that tuning the systems by changing the internal pre-stress results in a dramatic difference in the stress-strain curve. I am curious to know if you have explored the possibility of tuning a Tensegrity system such that such that it can change between negative to positive Poisson's ratio.
Yes, Ada, you.
Okay. Yes, in this case, we needed a positive Poisson ratio to catch the behavior, the physical behavior of the silk fibril. And we have seen in this case we observed the variation of the Poisson ratio by increasing with the increase of the strain. I don't know if I can share again my screen. Just to in this one, okay. We just had a look to the variation of the Poisson ratio with the strain, the measure that we were talking before.
If I can add,
please go.
No, I wanted to mention that it's you can use Tensegrity for auxetic materials, a negative Poisson ratio, but in the case of silk, the silk is uncompressible material, so it conserves the volume. So when it's stretched longitudinally, you need to contract in transverse direction to keep the volume. So in order to match this physical evidence, it depends on the geometry mainly. So this geometry of the units reproduces this transverse contraction, the transverse compression, because of this of the need of keeping the volume constant, as it has been observed in the literature.
Beautiful. Bien. I have another question about this morphology in the morphology that you have used, like the little or the minimum cell of the spider silk. I've seen in some images on the internet that you have tried this same morphology, but in the opposite position of struts and cables.
Because in our morphology, we used, if you see the morphology of the spider fibril, you can see that you have these crystalline beta sheets embedded in this amorphous matrix. So now with our crystal, we used the bars, so the blue ones that were shown before, as the like to model the mechanical response of the crystals, actually, while the strings were able to capture the mechanical response of the rest of the structure of the fiber.
The amorphous chain.
Actually, the amorphous matrix. This was the reason why we decided to order the Tensegrity prism in that direction. So the bars were able to reproduce the stiffness of the crystals that are embedded in this amorphous matrix.
So the main discovery by Bob Skelton about silk and the Tensegrity modeling of silk is that if you have a bunch of tendons, they have a longitudinal stiffness. Okay. If you now add some compressive members, and in this, and you have a net of tendons connected by compressive members, which are those crystalline domains, and you stretch this net, you will have an increase of the stiffness. So this is due to the Tensegrity. First, probably the original slide with the
yes, I want to go to the slide where I shown this one.
Yeah, this was basically if you stretch longitudinally due to these compressive members, the blue ones, the crystalline regions, you have an increase of the stiffness. So basically, this explains why you have a deformability and stiffness at the same time.
Okay. I don't know, Susan, if there is some question on the chat, on YouTube or something.
No, I think that people can turn their cameras on. Mariana now has a question. Mariana, you want to unmute and jump in with your question then? Thanks, Christian.
I think this is for Ada. Thank you. I'm like, like I couldn't expect this from when I put the comment on YouTube. Sharon said, "Oh, we're going to talk about spiderwebs," and it's like, okay, this is amazing. Thank you. Okay, I want to ask you something. You're talking about the silk of the spider, and then you're modeling this behavior in form in Tensegrity. But when you're talking about the crystallized, I mean, is it the same material that we're talking about that is just arranged differently to bring more like the strut in this Tensegrity? Is it always there, or it changes depending on the demands? I don't know if Susan, are you understanding?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry. I'm not sure that I understood what you are asking, sorry.
Go ahead.
Help me. No, help me, because I think you know what I'm trying to
I don't know
ask.
if this is related, but let me just say, I loved getting ready for this event today because I discovered how ignorant I am about spider silk. Okay, so I kept reading the article, and then the word that kept coming into my head was drag line. What is this drag line? So I
Okay,
thought, so then I start and I think, okay, I need to look up drag line. And then I discover, because in my mind, the spider spins its web, it makes its web, end of story. And then it does the little thing where it makes the egg casing. Okay, those are all different silks.
yes, exactly.
Creating different materials for the struts, essentially for the frame, and then a different material for the spiral, which is sticky, and then a different silk for the egg casing. And so spiders don't make spider silk, they make spider silks, right?
Perfectly true. You're perfect. That's perfectly true.
Mariana, does this touch on your question?
Yes, absolutely. So that answers then the question, because there is a silk that is stiffer than others.
Yes.
Okay.
So the drag line, the drag line is the stiffest. So his name. I had to learn as you.
I didn't
Suzanne,
know.
I had to learn this word because I didn't know the drag line. At the beginning, I searched in a vocabulary, and there is no exact definition. Then by studying, I understood that the drag line is basically the main silk that is made by the main glands of the silk. So it's the one that he basically, when is named drag line because it's the one that he spits. The spider spits the silks. So he spits the silk by building the frame, the web. And so this drag line, this line is the silk. So, but this is the radial. This makes the radial threads of the web. Then there are the spirals. The spirals are more sticky and more compliant, more deformable. And then there are the nodes between the two elements that are made of a different silk. And then finally, the silk has this super contraction phenomenon. So if you put the silk in water, it contracts dramatically, 50%, 70%. So what the spider, which is who is a very clever animal, what they do, they build the web at night. So when due to the humidity, that it will shrink. It tries to shrink, but since it attaches the web to fixed supports, it cannot shrink, and then it gets tensioned. And this tension gives the stiffness to capture prey. And there are many other.
Let me see if I can.
There are many other clever things they do. There are many other clever. So, for example, this cushion effect when they catch the prey. So the material is stiff, but not incredibly stiff that the prey bunches jumps away. It becomes captured because this stiffness the stiffness is also able to adapt to capture the prey. So they have many clever behavior. They're very clever animals.
So let me just ask again. So if I heard you correctly, the spider spins its web at night, and then morning dew comes and tensions the web for the spider.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Excuse me, can we not categorize this as tool use?
Yeah.
Right? Because the spider is using the dew to do the work for it.
Yes, I think
it's recruiting the environmental conditions to help as a co-creator of its work to make its job easier.
Yeah, it makes a smart material. So it's a natural smart material. And also, you know, that there are scientists, I don't think that you may approve what the scientists do, but there are scientists who feed spiders with carbon nanotubes. Can you imagine that?
They feed carbon nanotubes. They feed spiders, okay?
So that they produce even stiffer webs. I do not approve this line of research. I don't do that. But in Sheffield, they have spiders, and they let the spider to build to grow the fibers that they have tested. And there is also the reeling speed. You know, there is also one experiment. They force the drug with artificially the fiber from the spider. So basically
they force the spider to extract.
Yeah, there is the reeling speed. So the properties are related also to the reeling speed, the speed at which they force the spider to spit the spider and the silk. And there are industrial processes, answering Mariana, your question. Many engineers, many scientists or technologists, also companies are trying to imitate the spiders, but there has been mixed success, as Ada mentioned. It's not easy to mimic the spiders. It's not easy to mimic nature. Yes.
Graham, he added something to my question there, but before that, just quickly, that description that you made, it's similar in all those silks. Like you find the same.
Maybe you were talking about the number of the crystals that
like
more or less.
Those properties that you could model, are those applicable to all different silks that this?
Actually, we designed this fibril for this silk, and we try to consider the different, let's say, topology that you can see in one fibrils with this graded geometry. It's just to catch the mechanical behavior of the core, the inner core, the medium, and then the corner of the structure. Obviously, we can change geometry or maybe tune the pre-stress to vary the mechanical response of our model and to fit the physical response of the spider silk and of different spider silks.
Mariana, because of experiments, is what I have seen. We are not 100% expert of experiments, and we were also scared of spiders before running this. Now I love spiders because I know how clever they are, how smart they are. So now I am not scared of spiders anymore. But anyway, at the beginning I was a bit scared of spiders, and so basically due to this forced production of the silk, we were able only to model the drag line silk, so the silk that forms the radial threads, because the other silk is produced in a different way by the spider. So the experiments are made for modeling the drag line, which is basically the silk that forms the radial, while the spirals,
spokes of the spider web.
The spokes, exactly.
Before we get to Graham's question, let me just see if I understand right. And Mariana, maybe this helps, I don't know. So in actual dragline spider silk, if you slice it, if you take a look at the slice, you see this. It reminded me of actually when I was a kid and we would take a golf ball apart, right? Mm-hmm. And a golf ball has the cover And then it has another layer that is all these elastic bands that are stretched.
You will find the granular structure. When you do exactly that, you will find the granule. You will see granules. These granules,
Right,
and then
in your imaging, you could see your granules. Yeah.
Those granules are seen in experiments.
Right. So what I'm saying is that, and so you can see. So in a golf ball, right? There's the skin, and then there's all this stretched rubber band, and then there's a very, very dense rubber ball in the center. And the golf ball behaves the way it does, not only because of the dimples on the skin, right, which are of course icosahedral, but because of this structure of layered densifications. Now it's not the same densification, but when you take that slice of a spider silk, this teeny little tiny slice, you see these layers of densification. And so then you did your modeling according to different densifications that you could see in the spider silk, but with tensegrity structuring. And the results that came out gave you behavior for the first time ever, I think, right? That you were able to model the behavior of the spider silk. Do I have it right?
Yeah, probably Ada, you can add something about this graded structure. So the meaning of this graded structure that you have, you perfectly understood the point. Yes, Susan, you got the point. So Ada,
yes, you perfectly summarized what we did in our model. Yes, we what we did is to okay, I can share again just to
right.
Is to introduce this graded model.
And you have the one where you can see the granularity right here. Yes.
Also at the end with the fracture slide, yes, you see this.
So
this basically, this was a discovery of this group in Sheffield. So they maybe Ada, if you show the slide with the micro with the SEM image, this one, you know, you see this. There is this granular structure is different from when you move from the core to the other layers. So this was a new discovery, and so motivated us to formulate a graded structure. So basically, Ada, if you can show, maybe you can comment. You already commented on that. So when if you have a material made of with the same internal architecture, it doesn't have a graded structure. When a fracture initiates, it abruptly propagates through the material. Why? Right. If there are barriers, this graded structure forms a barrier for the fracture to propagate. So the fracture needs to make zigzags, need to zigzag, and this zigzag of the fracture line create an answered toughness. The silk, you know, is used as a fabric for clothes, because of this strength to fracture. It's very strong to fracture, and this is due. Our interpretation is that this graded structure enhances the capability of the fiber to deviate, to deflect the crack path, and so the crack path is not free to propagate abruptly through the material.
Yes, this is very interesting because this is similar results to the research of Bauer and Rimoli about nanomaterials, about different layers of tensegrity, and they have used the module of an octahedral. So they have multi-layered octahedral, and they have some tests about compression, and they have called this delocalizated fracture, something.
I would like to know. I would like to know about this.
It's very interesting.
Christian, so if you point me this paper, I will be very happy. So basically, nature is this is the hierarchical. So our one bio-inspired source of our research is that we try to replicate natural shapes. The natural shapes have this hierarchical structure. So the structures there's like a hierarchy which like boxes, one inside the other, like a Russian doll. And so these nature architectures are smart and allow natural materials to have this peculiar behaviors, this peculiar, also created by the evolution process and the natural selection process.
And that's great. So there's a gradient and a hierarchy and a hierarchy all together in a way, right? Because it's all linked. Yeah.
The hierarchy, yes.
The areas
like a fractal.
Densification are also interlinked.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
Graham, can you unmute, because I know you have a question. You're going to be able to articulate it better than.
Oh, yeah, yes. You may have answered this point and I might have missed it. I'm asking about the beta sheets, because in the standard Tensegrity model, we have fixed compression struts and tension cables. From regional model, I believe the beta sheets are considered as a compression element with molecular chains as a tension element. How rigid is that? How strict is that division between the two, or do the beta sheets transform themselves?
No, you're right. But Adam, maybe you want to answer. So the tendons, so basically you may want to tell that, Adam.
Yes,
please.
the tendons represents, we use the tendons to model to reproduce the mechanical behavior of the matrix, while the bars to reproduce the mechanical behavior of the crystals, so actually of the beta sheets.
But in the tendons, the tendons mix crystals and so
we use it.
So the tendons are a mix of also crystals. So it's the crystals also contribute to the longitudinal stiffness, answering your question. But definitely the compression comes only from crystals. And then the crystals contribute both to the compression and then the longitudinal stiffness. You're right. And actually, there are people who are applying Tensegrity models for the crystals. So you can have another hierarchical modeling. If you go more, you can model with the beta sheet as another Tensegrity, a smaller scale Tensegrity structure.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that answers. Thank you very much.
I would like to ask something, and I would like to know the answer about this of Fernando and Ada, but I would like to know too the answer or what they are thinking about this. Stephen, Graham, and maybe Dorothea Blomstein, if she is here. And the question is this: when we study Tensegrity and Biotensegrity, and in the first years, for example, we have a model different in like a basic cell in the two worlds. In the artificial world, we have the triplex or simplex or tripod or antiprism of triangular base, exactly the Susan's model, like the minimum and absolute model of tensegrity. And in the other world, in biotensegrity, we have the icosahedral model, like the fundamental cell of this.
Susan, you're
yeah,
spotlighted. Will you put both side by side so we can
Yes,
see?
please.
There we go.
Yes, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, so the answer is maybe the answer. No, the question. What do you think, or what of these models do you think that is the fundamental model, or do you think if there is a lot of different models depending of the case?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I have my answer. Ada, if you want and some. So
I think that always the model is like the simplification of the reality, no, of the physical behavior of different things. So it can be also different models, I think, to represent the same behavior, the physical behavior of a natural object or something else. I think that it's just about the designer also the choice to go for a topology instead of another. It depends about what you need. I think that can be done more model to represent the same physical response, I guess. I don't know if I answered. It's just my opinion. I mean,
in my view, I think that tensegrity can be defined in different ways. Actually, you know, recently the tensegrity concept has been generalized a bit, maybe too much. So we have soft tensegrities, for example, that someone calls soft that can buckle, and so depends what definition you give of tensegrity. I think that we can. The original definition is that you have of a system that do not respond in bending, so it responds only with tension and compression. So this, depending on the loading that the system has to bear, depending on the loading, you will find a different arrangement of tensile and compressive members. It depends on the, but what happens maybe in natural system, Christian, I think this can be, because one weak point of tensegrity is that they are very special for a given loading. But if you change the loading, it can be weak to different loading. So basically what happens in biological systems is that they change the tensegrity system, but they adapt the mode. So this, they can arrange, these particles can arrange in the biological structure, can rearrange, and so to form different tensegrities depending on the loading. So I think that's the truth. That's a true story, and so this is very difficult to replicate artificially. So I think that in my view, engineers can create very special tensegrities for a single use, but to imitate nature, it's difficult, like the spiders or the cells or the bones and tendons and all the other. It's difficult because the biological, you know, you can create matter. You can create matter in biological systems, while in engineering systems you cannot do that. And so I think that the biological systems change tensegrity architecture with loading.
Can I,
Thank you.
I know that you want other answers, Christian, but if you can spotlight me one more time, somebody. the thing that Christian taught me, because you mentioned it, Christian, is that the 3-strut, right, is really so close, right, to the octahedron.
Okay.
You see, if I added the other lines, I don't know if you can
Yes.
see it, but here's your 3-strut tensegrity. If I move 90 degrees, right?
Bob Skelton says that you can do everything
This
with
is-
a prism. Bob Skelton would say that you can do everything with a prism.
Right, and the other
But
point,
Bob Skelton is more genial than me. I am 100 of the, so he can do whatever you want. So I am still learning from Bob Skelton. So, and he can do beautiful things. And he always starts with the prism. He always starts with the 3-member, and then he generalizes it. And
Fernando, as you pointed out, right, what the icosahedron is, right, or a tensegrity mass, but the icosahedron is 2 3-strut tensegrities that have become linked, right? So there's
Yeah.
one of one chirality at the top and the opposite chirality at the bottom. So
Okay.
because this is a chiral structure, it has a directionality.
Yeah.
And I think the point for biology that we look at, if we're starting from the biological perspective, is that this is the one that is most round and full and cellular.
For a cell, yeah, for a cell.
Yeah,
to
or
replicate a
for
cell.
any biostructure, but maybe if Steve's ready to jump in, because Christian, you wanted Steve's perspective as well.
Of course.
Because we have shapes within shapes. That's all I'm saying, that all of these shapes end up being inside each other, like when we're building tetrahedrons as well.
Yeah, well, Fuller describes the hierarchy very well in the synergetics that goes down to the atomic level. So I mean, that's been part of his concept. It was part of his concept right from the beginning. But in biotensegrity, you're also stuck with other laws, mostly the ones related to close packing and laws related to fitting bubbles together. And then you're stuck with the round, and once you get to the round, you're in the icosahedron. And so
Yeah, the Barker rules.
yeah.
Rule,
So
rule.
I think from the biologic standpoint, you always have to go back to, are we close packing in a shape? And
Steve,
so you always go back to the icosahedron.
Steve, can you show them your, I think you have Bruce Hamilton's mast maybe next to you. Is that the adjustable one?
Oh,
Hang on, let me spotlight
spotlight?
him. I gotta find him.
Show it again.
Just a sec,
please.
Steve. Okay.
oh, beautiful.
Steve, we're losing your sound. Maybe you've muted yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes, I did. Okay. So the tensioners in this are changing the length of the compression elements.
Yes.
But in
Very nice.
Can you show?
in biology, the tensioners are the muscles that are tensioning the whole biology, at least in the
Tendons, yeah, the
skeletal
muscles
system.
tends
It would be the
tendons.
muscles.
Yes,
The muscles would be the tensioners because you can adjust the muscles.
exactly.
So you're adjusting
exactly.
the tension through the muscle. So what's
That's
toning the system in a biology is muscle, certainly in a skeletal system.
Yeah, you're right. But the muscles, there are many different muscles, and so yeah, the body is complicated.
Yes. So can you?
Right.
So
The human body is very good, but the general concept, you're perfectly right.
Fernando and Ada, I would just want you to see that in that
Good.
map,
I have the other controller one that's the same. This is Tom
Very nice,
Fleming's
this
one
one.
that's used with the controller. That
Yes.
he's using the tension model here. And this is a true Tensegrity model, well, with a 3-strut controller that's controlling it.
We have to do something together. Yeah.
Very
Well,
nice.
very
This.
nice.
Bello.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But this one was by Tom Flemons. And if you want to work with the Tom Flemons models, I think Fernando Tejero, who's here, you should also connect with, because he's working closely with the Flemons, the Tom Flemons archive on all of that stuff. But I wanted Fernando and
Dorothea's here too.
yeah, okay, Dorothy is here too, great. Because she's overseeing the Tom Flemons archive. But I just wanted to make sure Fernando and Ada saw that in Steve's mast, each of those struts is adjustable. You see, so the whole,
So it's different, yes.
you see, it's an adjustable, so you can make, this whole thing will collapse flat.
Yeah, that's the deployability. It's deployable.
There's a screw mechanism
The
in
struts,
here.
you can.
You see how there's a screw mechanism there? Yes.
Yes.
So it's completely adjustable. So
you can deploy it. You can deploy it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's why, this is the other goal of one ladder liner research, is that you can deploy, for example, solar screens in front of buildings, and maybe as active sun screens using this concept. Yes.
Yes, and Fernando Tejero is also saying yes, that you can take the Tensegrity, the 6-strut, and if I slide everything the right way, right, I can turn it into a tetrahedron. Yeah, very quickly, right? Yes. So, and so I'm going to just do that very quickly. Actually, Daniel Claude Martin taught me this one day, and it totally blew my mind. Oh my God.
Well, you're also working with the largest volume for the surface area, which again is an energy kind of thing. And that would be the most round. The strongest is the tetrahedral shape. So you're always you're oscillating between the strongest and the most energy conserving. So that's where your oscillations come in, going from one structure to the other.
Okay.
Anyway, if you make all your little triangles small, mine's starting to pop because I'm not doing it right. It becomes a tetrahedron. And let's see, Carol, you have a question, right? Oh, go ahead.
Just by moving the bars, you are changing configuration.
Correct. I am just sliding the strings.
Hold it higher, Susan, or tilt your camera.
Yeah, but it's going to go to an octahedron first and then a tetrahedron.
Yeah. So if you have a 6-strut and then you slide it so that every triangle is tiny. So I'm just going around to try to balance it, and some of mine are really big right now. So then what you'll end up with is a tetrahedron. Yes. I'm going to keep working with it. Sorry, I'm really
Very
flat
nice.
right now.
I can show you. I can show you the way the other. I can show you the path the other way around.
The
Can you
path
see
the
here?
other way around.
Yeah, I have here the tetrahedron. Can you see it?
Yeah. It's starting at the tetrahedron.
I cannot.
You see, no?
Oh, okay. Yes.
The tetrahedron, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I start sliding the struts to the middle way, more or less, in the cables, and then I came up with the 6 struts.
That's very nice to change the configuration just by moving the bars in
Exactly
structure.
right.
Very, very nice. The first time
You
that I
are,
see something.
how are you moving the bars? You are Fernando?
Yes.
Yeah, like my name. You're Fernando. Yes.
He's asking,
And then they-
how are you
mute.
moving? How are
He's
you?
muted. You are muted, maybe, Fernando.
Fur, you're muted.
I am moving. Sorry. Fernando, we have the same name. We are tocayos. We have.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that word. I am moving the strut by sliding the cables.
Yeah, okay, I see.
In this
Now I
lattice,
see.
see? And,
Okay.
but as you were explaining, it's very important, the tension, the inside tension and the
So
outside
you are
tension.
changing in mechanics. What you're doing is you are changing the reference configuration. So basically, you are changing the reference configuration. Yes.
Yes.
Because you're not deforming. It is not deforming. What you're doing is not deforming. You're just changing the reference configuration.
We could say maybe it's transmuting.
Yeah. We can see that, or you can say that it's just a configurational forces. You're applying configurational forces. This is not bad. This is a mathematical concept.
They're
say that
reconfigured.
it's not a physical. It's not a physical deformation. It's a change of the reference configuration.
Yeah, a reconfiguration, which again, in biology, it would happen in a completely different way. And we're only working at a fixed scale level when we're working with any given tensegrity.
Yeah, because the cells, the pulses, they are not static elements. They pulses, so they can change shape very efficiently. Maybe when they are healthy. Yeah.
Well, we're sharing models. Christian, I bet Fernando and Ada would love to see some of yours.
Maybe you can show them your puppy dog. And
Well, it's around here, yeah. So
you get that, Carol, can you, or is it?
let me prepare it for a second.
Yeah. We'll go to Carol for Carol's question, maybe.
Hmm?
Carol, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I don't have a question. I'm just in touch with some cognitive dissonance about this. And it's something that's rooted way back in terms of structure versus function, and how I constantly am looking to structure only to inform me about function. And when I get lost in the structure, it's almost like a voice comes up inside of my head and says, no, don't go down that path. You're going to lose the point. And the point that I tried to make out in the chat is, I'm curious about Steve Levin's biotensegrity comment. I never saw an icosahedron inside the body at surgery. It's a model of force distribution for function, but not the structure of the tissue per se. That doesn't mean that we won't have polygons. When we look at the structure of fascia, we can see that in Guimbarteau, that the structure of the polygons is functioning in order to be able to have the force distribution to be efficient and effective in the space that it's given. And so when we were talking about the structure of the spider silk, and when Ada was showing us the cross sections, I kept looking for what is the polygon that I'm going to find here. And we focus on this when we talk about spider silk. We talk about the work and the shapes. We focus on the structure of tensegrity, not tensegrity, and I start to look for the shape in the silk cross section. And this can be very confusing unless we pay close attention to biology versus solid state structure, or as Steve says, muscles versus models. It seems so easy for you and Graham and Steve to move, and Chris to move so easily into these different frames of understanding. It's not easy for me. And I got something when, was it Fernando said, it's about transmuting. The changes is about transmuting. And my philosopher got kicked in, because very often what happens in life now, I'm finding, as I'm having to make a transition from a way of life in South Florida to a way of living by myself, to a way of life in New England, living with other people, including my biological twin sister, how much of the structure of living could be interpreted as being just a structural change. It's just a structural change. But what I find out is I have to transmute a lot of the emotion around how I am responding to the energy forces in this structure that are affecting me emotionally and psychologically. And so Fernando's comment about transmuting immediately struck me as that's really what I'm working on here.
Yeah,
I'm trying to transmute a lot of what looks to be marvelously similar and divine structure changes, but it's not that easy.
Yeah,
So
indeed. That's the same that happens in bodies. In any bodies, you have this configurational forces and mechanical force. Configuration forces are the forces that moves you to switch to a different equilibrium, to a different shape. So this switching is driven by different forces with respect to the forces that strain about deform a body when it's given. So are different phenomena. So this is different from this transmuting is a phenomenon that is different from. It can also be taught as the phenomenon that drives the hand of the designer of an object. So when you change your design, you are driven by some forces that are these configurational forces, transmuting forces. Yeah, there are different phenomena. So you change your reference, configuration. That's what you have done. You have changed. I have done this many times when I used to live in the United States and traveling back and forth. And so, yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Can I, Carol, make a comment on your first point about the forces as opposed to the material? Ada, you had an image and it was the cell and it was yellow and you had the red, maybe we could see it. You had the red lines and the blue lines. And when I saw that, I almost wrote a question. Can we see that image?
Yeah, the granules.
Yes, you're sharing the screen.
Yes, and it was.
Which one?
No,
the granules.
Going down.
The granules.
Yes. Let me.
No,
it's
above. Where is it?
The granules. Later on.
Keep going.
Later. It should be.
Keep going.
Go
There was a
back.
yellow cell. There's
the granules. The granules.
one here. When I saw this, I interpreted as being the red lines being the forces of tension and the blue lines being the forces of compression. And I wondered in my head, oh, so as the blue, is that representing one of the crystal granules? But I say this, Carol, because it could be both, but it could be just the forces. And maybe Ada can tell us more about this image here, B.
Yes, this is the granules. So actually, the granule to better
the
understand.
The whole yellow is a granule, or the.
Yes.
Okay. In the first slide, there is the experimental evidence of these granules in the first one from the literature.
Which one do you want to show?
Yeah,
This?
so this is what you observe. You observe those granules. It's like what do you call the spiga di grano? It's like corn.
Kernels.
Yeah. No, the corn. The corn.
Corn on the cob.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And
So
that's what you observe in experiments. And so our interpretation is that inside those granules there is a tensegrity system.
And the picture, the yellow granule, then the arrows. Can you tell us more about what those arrows represent?
I just put our model on the granules to like to do an analogy between the physical granules and our model. So what happens that we modeled these granules.
The forces, what are the
Yes, I
arrows?
wanted to. So here, these ones are like the external forces, the one, these two. So that are actually is the tension, and this external force that is like pulling the granules in tension is like from this external force there are some internal forces in our tensegrities that are the tension ones on the strings, actually the red ones, and obviously there will be some other compression forces.
Yeah,
so it's like this is the initial.
You can get confused by the errors because those forces are the forces acting
in the bars.
No, but acting on the nodes, not the forces acting on the member, because probably someone can get confused by the fact that the red members are compressed. Those are not the forces acting on the members, are the forces that the members apply to the end nodes. So they are pulling the end nodes. So those are the red are in tension, the blue are in compression, because the red members are pulling the nodes. So those are the forces on the nodes of the system, not on the members.
It's like the reaction.
Yeah, this is the reaction of tendons on the end nodes.
Okay.
So they pull the granules, basically. The tendons pull the granules. That is because there is also matrix material that is weak.
Yes,
that is
external.
Is ignored by
So you pull on the granules, and each node is being pulled by where the red arrows are and being pushed by where the blue arrows are. And that's not necessarily representing the members. What's happening in the members on those lines when you pull on the granule? What are they under 10?
Yeah, they show these behaviors. Yeah, these behaviors that Ada, you can.
These two behaviors. So you have the struts that are in compression. So this one have this kind of behavior. This is the mechanical behavior. Actually, is the stress versus the strain. Okay, so by pulling all the granules, you can see that in the strings you have this first phase that is the elastic phase. Then you have the stiffness that decrease, and then you have these ones that are the tendons break actually. While in the case of the struts, you have at the end like a densification of the material. This is
first the buckling and then the densification. No?
Yes, this is the buckling, and then there is I just said the end, the densification. So this is like the behavior. This is the mechanical behavior. So is how the strings behaves under these pulling forces. This is how the struts behaves under these external forces that are applied to the granules, actually to the overall chain, and obviously so to each granule.
So if we go back to the slide from the literature, this is our modeling, basically the core of our modeling, the very first the experiments under the granular structure. The granular structure from the literature is the number 3.
Just this one, sorry.
Yeah, this is what has motivated our, so these granules are inside those granules. We have designed a Tensegrity system, and the simplest regarding your observation about polygons. Our goal was to formulate a simple model, and because to stay simple with the model, we could also figure out an octahedron within a granule or other Tensegrity modules within the granule, but we use the most simple one.
Can I show and ask a question then? Chris, can you spotlight me for a second? I think it's clarity on what you're asking. So I think what is being modeled, right?
Exactly. It's a 3D version of that. It's a 3D version of that.
On these strings, right?
Exactly.
Picture, you don't see my hands doing the pulling. In other words, we're only seeing one scale level. In other words, I right now, by pulling these strings, I'm providing compression at a larger scale level.
And you get more stiff. If you don't have this intermediate member, it would be less stiff. So this yes, this would be.
So now there's just goopiness, right? So what Ada's picture is showing, this is the blue, my stick, right? And this is the red, my string. And what Ada doesn't have in her picture, that maybe you are having a hard time imagining, is there's something else outside of that kernel, that node, that module, that is providing that pulling, which has got to be a compressive, another hierarchical layer of tension and compression. Is that?
Yeah, and for me, what I was seeing in the image is all those arrows, because what Carol was speaking to about how we can just tend to always look for the material. We can see the models and we can look for the representation of the models in the material. For me, seeing the way that image was with the arrows and everything, it was like, oh, this is like Leonid's image of the internal and how the external forces hit the surface of the, and then they get reconfigured. So because you had the arrows on that picture, it made me be able to see it as forces as opposed to the material itself. And I was saying that specifically because of what Carol brought up, knowing that this is something we all come up against again and again in the mind, wanting to see the model in the body. So that was why I brought it up. I'm also looking at the time. We're past 2 hours, so I don't know.
There is one important constraint. There is one important constraint on our side.
Yes.
Started 7 minutes ago, the Italy is playing. The Italy soccer team is playing a soccer. The inauguration match of the European Championship of Soccer. You know that the Italians are crazy about soccer. So there is Italy versus Turkey.
Oh my gosh. Italy versus who?
Turkey.
Okay, great. Patricia, did you want to ask a question?
But I'm enjoying. I don't care because I'm enjoying very much. But I also want to answer to the Stephen comment. So we didn't deal with the packing. You're right. So our model is not exactly the granule. Our model is an effective model. We didn't look at the packing problem. So you can figure out maybe an octahedron will more closely correspond to the packing of the granules, but we were not dealing with that. We wanted something to stay simple. So yeah, if you wanna go more into details, because nature is complicated, most probably you will end up with a more complex Tensegrity system.
Right. Well, maybe what we should do is a closing toast, and toast.
Okay.
And we'll include the Italian soccer team in our toast, of course. and if we were going to be watching soccer with you, what would we be drinking?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wine, some red wine.
Not the limoncello, not the grappa.
No, no, the limoncello. If we win, we will drink limoncello.
We break out the limoncello. First, the wine.
So you know, limoncello is the coffee killer. You know, you can move from one drink to another, and so the limoncello is the coffee killer. So after the coffee, you can have limoncello. You have limoncello is the coffee killer. It's like a grappa.
Because the coffee winds you up, and then the limoncello calms you down.
Also because of the taste, it kills the taste of coffee. So I have also my cup from the Amalfi Coast, the large scale cup from the Amalfi Coast with this Beatrice ceramics. And yeah, we toast for maybe for Tensegrity, not for Italy, because I don't want to be for Italy. Maybe there is a Turkish.
Yes, but Fernando, but this time
we don't care about who wins and who loses. But let me toast about this group, this meeting, and your the Tensegrity family, the Tensegrity family, the success of this Tensegrity family.
But also a toast from Ada as well, right?
Okay, yes, it was great to meet you, and so I enjoyed a lot. And I want just to, maybe I can share again last time the video just to show you, because I skipped this, just to remind you that we are organizing this workshop. And so maybe if you are interested, you can come on next year.
Exactly where Stephen has been, exactly at the same hotel.
Yes, this is the same hotel. Same hotel I was at. It was beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah, we do every 3 years. We do every 3 years. We do every 3 years.
It will be on the Amalfi Coast.
Right.
Yes, is in Cetara, the hotel, and Professor Fraternali serves as chair of this event. I'm helping with the organization of this event. So if you want to check to have more information, you can also have a look on the website.
Will be at the end of September of next year.
At the end of
Maybe
September.
we will be able to travel and to meet in person.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
So I can say that Forza Italia, go Italy, go Italy.
Salute.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very nice to meet you.
We're so delighted. You should go enjoy your soccer game. And next week, for anyone who's interested, we're going to be talking about Biotensegrity interest groups of all kinds. We're going to be talking about the history. We're going to be talking about the new groups like Big Hispano, that's now up on the web. We're going to be talking about little short ones that come.
Can I join your meetings? Can we join your meetings?
Of course.
I will join.
Okay, so we will.
Absolutely, anytime.
Let me just say we're meeting next week, and then the week after that, Steve's going to do a presentation, but then we're going to be off for July and August. So, and then we'll come back after that. But anyone who is interested in joining on Zoom should go to biotensegrityarchive.org and get on the email list, and then they'll get the newsletter every week.
Perfect. We will do that.
Thank you, Christian, for doing a great host. I knew you would have questions I would never be able to imagine, and comments. It was wonderful. And Graham, were you going to go over the sponsors one more time?
Yes, I can quickly. Just a list here: Handspring Publishing, Embodied Biotensegrity, the Second World Fascia Congress, Integrated Biotensegrity, Matrix Repatterning, Artifact Pro, Pretensed, and Bruce Hamilton, and finally the fasciahub.com, when I mentioned the course with Robert Schleip. It's fully booked, I'm afraid, so count that one out for the moment.
So
Oh,
can we toast with the dog model? Yeah. Can we
yes,
toast?
Fernando, are you there with your puppy dog? Maybe you can, thank you.
Yes, sure, I have it here, the puppy. Hold on one second, I'm
Yeah,
going to move the
yeah.
camera.
Thank you for reminding me, everybody. You see this?
Oh,
Watch
No,
this.
there is my partner. Actually, I want to
Here is
introduce my
Artigo.
partner.
very
Ilenia.
nice.
You come.
Bellissimo. Stupendo.
Wait,
Can you
I've
show
lost
again?
him.
Can you show
Hold on,
again
hold
the pup?
Can somebody,
Fernando, please show it
wait,
again.
let me spotlight him.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
Bellissimo.
Great.
Moves.
I don't know if I can move the tail. Have a seat.
That's
Yes.
beautiful. Oh.
That's Artie.
Bellissimo.
And and our other Fernando is going to show us a partner, or do you have another one?
Bravo, Fernando.
No, I don't have,
Yeah,
no, I
that's-
don't have more puppies. No,
I think
sorry.
Christian's got a bunch too. Susan, do you want me to keep the YouTube on or turn it off?
Maybe keep it on for another minute for anyone who wants to see the models, but
I will say bye and
great.
and see you next time. Thank you very much. Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
coming.
for
Super to
inviting
hear
us.
you.
Thank you. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Thank you.
Yeah, Christian must show some of his bichos, please.
Oh,
For sure
my
he got a
bichos.
bunch
Yeah,
next
Christian
to
will
him.
show his bichos.
I have not here, but
No.
there is now
Cannot believe you.
an account in Instagram, and this account is Tensebichos.
Tensebichos.
So I am building one different bicho every day. So you can see a different bicho every day.
Wow.
My personal challenge. So let's see.
That's great.
Okay, shall we say goodbye to our YouTube audience?
Yes, I think so. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.